Welcome back to Dexter Plays Vintage Story. Welcome back to Dexter Plays. We're going to start up a new series of Vintage Story. This is a game created by some Minecraft modders from the ground up. So it has a lot of similarity to Minecraft, but the engine has been built on something that's very mod friendly. It's easy to deal with mods. We'll talk about that in this thing. And we're going to cover a few things on this episode 0. Rather than doing long form gameplay where I just record all of my gameplay for you, I'm going to do this mostly as a guide and gameplay. So I will do gameplay, but we're going to do it in the format of a guide so that as I go through each of the areas, each of the options you can do, the things you can build, we'll talk a lot about what those are. And then I will skip time to get to the next item to talk about. So there's going to be a lot of guide going on in here, but there will also be some progress in the background. For day 0 here, which I'm referring to this episode as 0, we're going to talk about downloading the game, updates, settings, mods, and backups. To get this game, you'll want to go to their website. It's vintagestory.at. You can buy it from here for $18. You can also go to the Humble Bundle store or Humble store, buy it there, or you can go to itch.io to get it. Both places you can buy it from. When you get it, you will be given the download, which you will find over here in the client area downloads. My system takes a little while. There we go. Full install. Updates are your two options. If you do the full installer, that's assuming that you haven't installed it before, you want to put the whole thing back down, or you've cleaned the game off your system and you want to reinstall it, you can click on the full installer. The game keeps track of you by your account, so once you create your account on Vintage Story, you'll be able to come back here to download it again if you want to, or to get updates here. So pick this full installer if you haven't installed it, pick update if you already have it on your system. Once that's done and you run it, you will end up on Vintage Story here. In this screen, the main screen, if there is an update in the upper corner right here, it will say update available. If you click on that, it'll take you back to that website we just saw. It'll take you back to here, and it'll drop you right into the download section so you can click update. The next thing here, we have single and multiplayer. We're going to cover that in a moment. Let's talk about settings first. So the settings you have is graphical first, then you'll have controls, sound, and interface. Underneath the graphics controls, you will see view distance. I recommend you turn this all the way up. This is just determining how far out you can see. It does matter in this game being able to see a distance. You will be able to see landmarks. You'll be able to see different types of biomes. You'll be able to see ruins and caravans and other things of that nature. So turn up this view distance so that you can get up somewhere high. You can take a look way out and see where things are. The gamma here is, don't turn this up too high. The reason I say that is there are times in this game, like at night, if you don't have a light source, it seriously turns everything pitch black. It kind of depends on what phase the moon is in, as you might expect. If you're in a new moon, and you're out in the middle of the night with not a light source, you see nothing. And I think that adds to the effect of the game. So keep your gamma reasonable. I have it here set at 220. Field of view is just how wide the screen is going to show you on your field of view. You can kind of go crazy with the 160 if you want to be kind of bug-eyed about it, but I'd say somewhere around 70 to 80% is good. And then whether or not you want to have it on as full screen. If you want more graphical options, you have this show all available options, and this will start to show everything else that's here. So if you go through, there's a few things just to, if you're having some CPU issues, you can turn off wave foliage. There's a foam and shine effect. There's some bloom and God rays. All of these are going to give some effect to the quality of what you're seeing. Typically, I turn this stuff all the way up because I've got a system I think that can handle it. They do have something, and one I think I had to look up was sepia, which is really a reddish brown color. So basically, this is just how much reddish brown do you want to have in the overall world. I don't understand why that's in there, but okay. And then we have ambient bloom. So keep all these things in mind. You can start cranking these things down if your graphics don't handle them all. Underneath your controls, you'll have some mouse sensitivities. So the mouse controls that you'll typically be used to. So just how fast you want things to turn around. I've had times where I have had to turn this thing down because it's too sensitive for me. So I like to be a little bit more conscious about my moves. Underneath item collection mode, this can be frustrating for some people. You can only collect items when sneaking, which means you have to hit the right control or left control button to sneak. And if you're sneaking, then you can pick up the items around you, or you can just pick up everything all the way around you all the time. The aggravation here can be that if you're trying to dump something from your inventory, it doesn't dump it very far, and it ends up back in your inventory again. So you have to do things like position yourself off the edge of a cliff or something and then toss the things away, because items don't pick up quite as fast as you might be experiencing if you know Minecraft. You can break a block in front of you, and before it hits the ground, you've sucked it up. There's a delay here, so that's not the case. Things will end up hitting the ground first before you pick them up, so keep that in mind when you're playing. Underneath your controls, most of these things are the typical WASD control. Use your mouse to move around. We'll talk a little bit more about some of these things. Keep an eye down here. You got V, B, and N, which will give you your interaction overlay and your distance to spawn. And then I have mapped tilde to my map. That's what this chat dialogue it'll do the chat. So look through here if you're not seeing all of the things on your HUD that you would like to see. Also, I have remapped my controls to be more like 7 Days to Die because I play both those games. And when I switch back and forth between these two, originally, it was just messing me up something fierce. Underneath sound level, there is an importance to sound. Keep this up somewhat. I'm at 60%. There's times you might even want to turn it up higher. The ambient sound level I've turned off because I don't want the background sound confusing me with the regular sounds that I'm looking for. Things you're going to be listening for are things like wolves. You're going to be listening to the drifters. You're going to be listening for bees. All of these things are going to be important for you to hear so that you can react to them. Some of them you won't see until it's too late. So wolves and bees, for example, are very hard to spot before you're having to deal with them. Weather level sound I've turned down a bit. I still want to hear what kind of weather's going on, so that's what that's for. The music level and frequency. This game has a lot of original music, and so far I have not seen any kind of copyright strikes for the music. So I believe this guy must have his own music and has made it available. It's the only thing I can assume there. And then there's the new Seraph voices. This is a chance, and I'm going to actually turn this one on. I haven't had it on before, but we'll give that a chance. And then we have the various output devices. This is going to be my different ways that I can push my output to either my speakers, my headphones, my recording software, all of that sort of stuff. I can leave it on default because I got everything hooked up on my system correctly. Interface. So this is going to be your screen that you get presented with when you get in game. This is just going to be how big is the GUI thing's going to be. So all the elements that are in there. Do you want them large? Do you want them small? Do you need glasses? Do you not need glasses? Auto hide chat. Now I've turned this one off. Basically, this is a case of if something pops up into your chat window, it will display and then it will time out. If there was a timer on this, I'd be much happier with it, but there's no timer on the auto hide, and it personally goes away before I can really see what I'm looking at. So I've turned that off. Info and block overlay. So in this particular case, when you look at a particular block, it'll actually give you a box saying, what are you looking at? And it might give you some additional interaction information with that as well. I like this because sometimes it is difficult to tell a rock from a piece of flint, and the overlay helps out with that. You also have this coordinate overlay, which will tell you where on the map you are. Again, I like that to just know as I move around, where am I at? In fact, it's kind of helpful if you get far away from your spawn point and you die, you have the coordinates if you were paying attention. The mini map will show up in the upper right corner. I like the mini map. Again, this is a case of just instead of having the map open all the time, I can see immediately around me. The mini map is a subset of the greater map, so it isn't a shrinking or an increasing of that, and it just gives you your immediate surroundings. Immersive mode for the mouse is if you have a menu up and you move your cursor around, do you move the screen behind you or not? I tried this out. It doesn't, it's frustrating for me. You can hold the left Alt key to freeze the background and unlock the mouse for movement, but otherwise the mouse moves with everything in the background, and it becomes hard to select things in the menu options. So I suggest you turn this off. First person immersive mode is whether or not you want to be right on top of yourself or not, of course. Your language, whether or not you want a border, and then of course there's development mode. Don't worry about that. Again, I said earlier on that this game was very mod friendly. Here's some mods. In fact, the gameplay mods, you see the 1.15.3, these 3 mods are actually the game code. The engine is running the mod of Vintage Story. So that's what I mean by they made this thing very mod friendly. I've added a few other mods for quality of life. There's this one called VS Prospector Info. When you do some prospecting in the game, and we'll talk some about that, it will give you and save that information. It's a whole lot better than me having either to type in the restricted comments for something I put on the map as a marker, or trying to keep track of this somewhere else in a spreadsheet or whatever. I feel like, once you have this, I think it's reasonable to put it on the map. Carry capacity is just your ability to pick up some things like chests and storage vessels. If you have both your hands open, it will incur a greater hunger rate to you, but at least lets you move some things around. Otherwise, you have to empty everything, break it down, put it back, and load it back up again. I like this a little bit easier. Like I said, it's more quality of life. Step up. If you're familiar with Minecraft, you know that when you run into a block, you have to jump to get up one block. There is an option in Minecraft, and here's this option as a mod in Vintage Story, where if you come against a 1 block increase in height, it will actually walk up for you. You don't have to do a jump. And much, much better than having to jump all the time. It drives me nuts. I like this a bit better, and it makes things feel easier, or feels better. So there's the mods, but how do you get them? You get the mod folder here. You can open up your mod folder, and when you do that, I will switch back so you may see what I'm looking at. There we go. Here's where all your mods are. And to get those mods, you just click on the official mob hub. It'll give you this link that you can go to. You can confirm, and it'll pop you on out. Here we were talking about the game codes. Here we are with the mods. All mods go. There we go. So there's all the mods that you can see. So if you want, this game already has a ton of mods in place. I think start off playing a little bit if you want, get those mods I showed you, but other than those, wait until you've played a little bit before you go back and decide what it is you want. Some things I feel break the intent of the game, which is this is really a grinding kind of game. It is a survival oriented grinder. It is not a first person shooter or anything like that. The monsters in here are limited. Some of them are kind of challenging. I mean, it's enough of a challenge that you got to watch your back every once in a while, but once you get it down, you should be pretty safe-ish. There's a couple of things that you'll run into that we might be able to talk about later that are basically hit it and run. So anyway, go ahead and look in here if you find some things, and they do give you some idea as to what they're going to give you, quality of life, creatures, things like that. With those, let's get back into Vintage Story again. You can download those and put them into your mods folder. And when you put them into your mods folder, they will show up in this list for you to either turn on or turn off. That's all there is. And if you want to, you can always click on the reload mod just to make sure everything gets reloaded in case you did a version 4.0.1 and it didn't take. Just reload the mods. Last, let's go into setting up your game. Or before, let's talk about setting up the game. So in here, when you create a new world, you have 4 options in creating this world. Standard, exploration, wilderness, and creative. Creative is simply what it is. It's creative. You can do whatever you want. Nobody's going to bug you around. You're going to have God mode as far as flying about. So you can just kind of see how things can look if you want to build something up really nice. There's a lot of folks who like doing that. I tend to like a bit of the exploration, and I also like to tend a bit of the wilderness. Wilderness is really just a challenging your combat mechanics. It's increasing your survival mechanics. So you really got to go out and worry about how am I going to survive this encounter. If you die, all your stuff falls to the ground where you are. That's a corpse run for you. There is a limitation in time. It is less than half a day. So if you don't get back to your stuff, it'll despawn. And then you'll lose everything that you might have worked on. And in some cases, that could be seriously painful. In the beginning, not so much. It also will spawn you up to 5,000 blocks away. That's pretty far. I mean, if you drop in 5,000 blocks away from where you died, you're not going to make it back in time to get your stuff before it despawns. Survival, I mean, the exploration side is a bit more, again, it tones down all of those survival things. The monsters don't hit so hard. Your food doesn't erode as quickly. But you can go around, you can gather stuff, you can build up, and you can get a feel for the world without feeling like you're completely cheating like in creative. Or you can go standard where it has a balance. I prefer standard. And then you can also get your world name. You can randomize this if you want to. I'm going to go to... I'm going to call my own game here. Let's go Dextor Plays Guide Game. How about that? And then you can click on Create Your World. It'll go through its creation and it's going to drop you into the game. When it does, we're going to drop right back out because I want to show you the last thing, which is backups. But I wanted to have a game save so I can show you where the backups are. As you can see, the game creation doesn't take that long, but it does have sensitivity to north and south. If you go far enough north, you will get into colder climates. If you go far enough south, you get into warmer climates. Wow. Okay, it dropped me right in the middle of the water. Whatever. There is no air in this game, so you don't have to worry about air, being under the water and drowning. Not yet, at least. Here you can get some skin tones. So, for example, if you wanted to be a fishy person, I dropped in the middle of this place. I guess I'm a fishy person. Let's pick nice green solid. No, let's lime green eyes. Yeah, there we go. We'll pick up some lime green eyes. We've got two teeth. I'm going to go ahead and do breeches. This is the voice that we talked about earlier. So you can see it out the flute here. Yeah, we'll do... Well, wait. Yeah, we'll do that. And then we can play with our hair types if you want to. If you randomize all that, it'll give it to you if you want. Again, I'm going to go low, clarinet, breeches. I'll take the rest of this as just the way it is. That's fine. And we'll confirm this. Here's us dressed and not dressed. Next, you'll get to pick a class. You have Commoner, Hunter, Malefactor, Clockmaker, Blackguard, Tailor. Each of these will give you something. Commoner is the middle of the road. The Hunter is going to give you plus or minuses, and some of these will give you some exclusive craftables like the bow and arrow. I personally think I'm going to try out Tailor. I did standard before. I want to do that to get the sewing kit. So I'll confirm this class. It does mean, though, that I'll get a little bit less off of animals. I am also a little bit weaker and move slower in the mining, which is a big deal, actually. There's a lot of mining in this game. I also don't quite get as much loot. But my armor durability is higher, and I can also craft some stuff. So here we are. If I hit the space key, I get up to the top. I'm going to go over here where I can stand on something. There we are. This is the area around me. When I die, I will spawn right back here. That over there, by the way, is a caravan. That's a trader. And I think I see some ruins over there, so this will be a great place to start. But first, let's go back to the main world. This is the main menu. And from here, if we go back into our single player, here's my game. And if I click over on the side here where that little arrow is, that little pen, it gives me the options to change the name of the game if I want to. Here's my seed if you're curious. If you want to start the same thing up and follow along, feel free. It'll tell you total play time and what your world size is. Notice, I mean, this is effectively Minecraft block size. So it is 256 blocks high. And this is important to know because it's going to come in later when we start talking about mining. There's going to be an effect as to how far you are above or below sea level and how far you are above absolute zero. Both of those have an effect on mining. And then the number of blocks either way. This is 1,000,000 blocks by 1,000,000 blocks. So, yeah. But you can come down here, you can go create a backup. You can also create a new world with the seed. If you've played for a while, you decide, you know what, I'm done. I want to start all over, but I liked the world the way it was. You can create a new one based off the same seed. Here, I'm going to go ahead and create a backup. You click on it. You say, yes, I want to create a backup. It says, okay. And then you're like, but wait, where is it? Let's take a quick look. So, create backup, repair mode. Back to cancel. Oh, there's a break, huh? So if we go back here, we can open up the saves mod folder. And when I open up the save folder, this will pop up. Notice it says Vintage Story. If I back up one and I go back into backup saves, here's the game. I just backed it up twice. I could delete one of those if I want to. You can always just do this a second time. It'll open up 2 of those windows for you. So there's saves. There's backups. If I want to split these things apart. And now, for example, if I delete this game, oh God, it's gone. My bad. I can always go. Right. That's gonna be it right now. I can go back here to my backup. I can drop this down, and I have my backup game. All I do is go back to settings, single player, and it's back. So that's how you back up the game. That's how you create one. All of those other things, if you want to go back to your account settings, that's back to the website that we saw earlier, and you could change your settings if you want to. We're not going to go there because there's some personal information there that I'm not going to share. But that is Vintage Stories installation, settings, and creation in a nutshell. Come back in the next episode, and we will actually see where I go to from that little waterborne landing. Thanks again. Take care. Bye-bye.
Creeping through the shadows in the corners of your mind. I go where the wind blows. I run but I don't hide. I hear the call of the wild, whispering the name. No, I can't be tamed. My heart belongs to the night. I'm alone, I'm a lone wolf. 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 I'm a